And the next time I'll come prepared with stories you haven't heard.
You got any great stories?
Well, it's kind of fun. And I've learned lessons from them. And
Sure.
the classes that I did, the last 4 years of the boardwalk, when Tom Canfield turned me loose, I was under kind of everybody's thumb, and I moved over to Tom in 2008, 2007, and he says, the we want more training classes, and I developed a lead supervisor, manager, director classes, also programs and regs that talked about all the laws, and what was the and train the trainer. So we had 5 to 8 different classes, and then we would set up. We'd tell our department, I'm going to run a train the trainer class. Who in your department needs that? They would sign up, and then we'd present a class. And it was usually scheduled to be a 4-hour class. I ran it about 3 1/4 to 3.5. I always let them out early. Never, they're happy. Oh, I got out early. you know. But it was a good class. But I realized the stories, or when I had evaluations, they evaluated me uh, at the end of the class, and I made them turn your evals in now, because if I waited later, they'd forget about losing. And there were a few that didn't turn them in. But I always got high marks, and it was always about the stories. It was always about the stories told in with the lesson. I mean, they liked the rest of it. That the test was an open book test. They liked that. And we always had plenty of food and a good variety of food. And then if they answered a question, or if I had them read in class, which I had them read because I wanted to make sure, you're a trainer, you better be able to talk in front of an audience.
Right.
And so, I had them read a section we'd have a checklist, and the checklist would have all the points we're going to cover in the class and numbered, and they would read. I'd go around the room. Okay, Nancy, you read that section, and then she'd read that section. And I washed out. I think in 4 years I washed out 2 people because they just couldn't speak in front of
Oh,
the
okay.
public. And I went to their boss later, and said, Nancy's not going to be a good trainer for you. She's afraid to stand in front of the time clock and give a spiel, so she's not going to be good for you. But anyway, after they read, I also had bags, mystery bags, up by me with chips, candies, or cookie. And I'd say, okay, what bag? What bag you want? And they'd say, and I'd go over and get the bag and take them candy or chips or whatever they wanted. In addition to the food in the morning. In the morning, we'd have sodas, coffee, chips, cookies, cheese, um, fruit, and also orange juices. So it covered all the menus that people would want. So it was a good class. But the main thing we learned is they talked about the stories. It was always the reviews were always about the stories, and that's what it's about. It's connecting that story. Donna, I would use that example of Donna's with the bikers of, thinking on your feet at problem solving. So I'd say, okay, we're going to talk about problem solving. Here's an example, and that worked for them. And then, but it was probably the highlight of my boardwalk career was those 4 years. We trained 1,500 supervisors, leads, and managers in less than 4 years. 1,500, because they had to be trained every 2 years. We would have a thing that you had to take the class every 2 years, if so to keep current and keep the message the same. So every 2 years. Now I changed the stories. If somebody went to this class in 2009 and they took a class in 2011, half the stories would be different by then,
Okay.
so that they weren't bored with, oh, I know what story's coming now. So, but it was good. It was a good training ground for me, and being turned loose to do your own classes, you could just run with it. And I knew I could please them if I didn't have the boss telling me, okay, don't use that story, or don't have fruit, or
Right.
you know.
Right.
And at the end of the day, we'd say, okay, any food that's left over, take with you. They'd take it down to their offices, or they couldn't take it to the rides, but they could take it to their lounge. But it worked out real well. It was a good, and that was all a culmination of things we had learned at Frontier, and then at Winchester, and then finally put into play at the boardwalk.